What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla stock and break down some very important levels to be watching for, and also what could be happening with Tesla's deliveries coming out very soon. But before I break anything down all this information, before I give you guys a preview of what could be playing out for deliveries, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, let's break down some very important pieces of data. When it comes to Tesla, we have some big expectations for Q4 and for 2023. I want to talk about this in a very, very quick video. I want to go over this one article because this is very sufficient and this gives us all the information we need instead of talking about too many different analysts who oftentimes don't even know what they're talking about. So there are all these analysts that throw all these numbers. Some of them underestimate, some of them overestimate, but I found one analyst that tends to be very close historically, and that's going to give us a good idea of what could end up happening. So in this article, let's start off with what this is saying. So initially, Elon Musk was saying, and this was back in 2022, the goal for 2023 was 2 million deliveries. Okay. Now, Tesla's going to most likely come short of that, unfortunately, and that has to do with many different factors. Sometimes Elon Musk has very ambitious goals and Tesla could come just short, but that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in a later video, and that's the importance of being very ambitious, if anything. I say that because there have been a lot of instances where you could shoot for some very, very big goals. You may not always meet the goals, but ultimately you'll come closer to meeting them and you'll achieve so much more by shooting for the stars. That's what Elon Musk is known for, so please don't criticize him if his targets are not really on par with what ends up happening. So even though he was aiming for 2 million, it looks like Tesla will likely come a little short of that, according to many analysts. This is 14 analysts from LSEG. They're saying that Tesla will likely deliver 1.82 million vehicles globally in 2023, up 37% from 2022, which is still absolutely incredible. They're also saying that with about 473,000 units in the fourth quarter, according to these 14 analysts. So we might see something very close to that, according to what I'm seeing right here. However, out of all these different analysts, and this is what the author of this article is saying, the one that we could trust the most is Troy Teslike. I actually looked at his history, and he tends to be very, very close. This is very important because his expectations from 3 weeks ago were adjusted a bit, but frankly, based off what I've seen in the past, many of these Wall Street analysts tend to copy his analysis, which is pretty funny. This is going to be very important. So, what is Troy basically saying? I actually want to break down these numbers. Let's actually see if I can open this on Twitter first. Basically, Troy is known for giving very accurate and very important estimates for how on earth things could end up looking. And we actually have their Twitter right over here. So what Troy basically said, at least for Q4, they estimated about 477,000. That's what he estimated back then. It was 482,000 on November 29th, but he lowered it just a little bit. The analyst consensus is around 481,000, so he thinks Tesla might come just a tiny bit short. Historically, that tends to not happen. Historically, we tend to be very close for Tesla, but this estimate could be realistic because of what happened with the economy. You can't forget that we're in a very high interest rate environment compared to before, especially this time last year. And Tesla had to do a lot of extreme things, from cutting prices to trying to find different incentives to get more and more of these sales to meet their targets. So it's very important to note. We have the numbers basically estimated right over here. We can actually look at these in a lot of detail. Let me try to actually open this in a new tab so you can see this a little bit easier. Let's see if this works. Give me 1 second, guys. I think that's a little bit better. Um, Hopefully it's not too small. I'm just trying to make this like as easy to see. I could even zoom in just a little bit more. So hopefully it's not blurry at this point. You can see for Q1, we have all the numbers right over here, about 41,000 in the US. And then we have like a total coming from this side over here. We have like the Shanghai total and everything else. Right over here, we have the Canadian total, European total, everything that added up to this many, which is not a bad number whatsoever. We had about 422,000 for Q1, which is not bad for Tesla. For Q2, we basically had a total of about 466,000, which is not bad as well. 435,000 for Q3. Now for Q4, we have the numbers coming out right here. Basically, we have the numbers from Fremont right here. This is actually in the USA. And then we have the totals from every single one of the different areas. You can see right here we have China at 175,000 in total, this is coming from like Shanghai and such. The next column right here is going to be like Europe, where we have 92,000. We have Canada at 10,000, and the USA at about 165,000, almost as much as China. And then what else is very important is China surpassing the USA. That's going to likely happen as we're seeing crazy numbers in China, as Tesla is going to break their record most likely from what I'm seeing in data. And then also for the rest of the world, we have about 33,000 right over here, putting our total at 477,000. Not bad whatsoever. Absolutely incredible. 477,000 would be just great. Now, in my opinion, when you look at the total for the entire year, however, we could have 650,000 in the USA. For Canada, it could be close to about 40,000. For Europe, it's going to be 364,000, possibly around there. Then for China, we have 613,000, 129,000 for the rest of the world, putting us at 1.8 million. That is Tesla's target, according to what the analysts are saying. So that's what we're basically seeing for the estimates, and the numbers look pretty good for Q4. So, what does this mean for Tesla? How on earth could this affect the share price? What do I think of this? I would say that expectations for Tesla are very high. So, just be very careful with the reaction for the share price. They can see that this is a little bit below what the Wall Street's consensus happens to be. But as long as it remains the same, Troy tends to be more accurate historic, which I agree with. Uh, One thing that's important to note is that Tesla missing 2 million sales, which was the initial goal going into last year, it's not from the lack of trying. It has more to do with the external factors that are kind of like affecting them. Their margins took a hit as they had to cut prices to bring up demand due to the facts that we saw slowdowns because of the high interest rates, which added more costs for the company. But I believe there's going to be a lot of improvement going into 2024. For the first half of 2024, there might be some difficulties here and there, right? With recession coming, with more economic downturn, with more economic slowdowns. For the second half of 2024, I think that we're going to be in a nice recovery phase, and we're going to see, lowered interest rates, and things will improve for Tesla. I still think Tesla is going to be very strong, especially because the share price still looks strong. So I just want to remind you guys, let me be honest with you all. This is just a very, very small piece of data, a very small piece of time relative to how much time there is for Tesla, right? I talked about Kathy Wood's targets. Don't forget, on the weekly, there's a massive inverse head and shoulders on Tesla. It could consolidate for an extended period of time, but I see a big breakout in the second half of 2024, and Tesla will eventually hit all-time highs either near the end of 2024, if not like later on. Either at the end or early on, excuse me, guys. And we could even break to much, much higher levels going into 2024 for the second half towards the end of the year. So I'm still very bullish long term. But for the short term, with these deliveries coming out, it becomes a little bit more difficult to predict how this is going to go. But here is how I would basically say this may look. So basically, I'm not going to focus as much on Q4. Let's focus more on total deliveries. If Tesla does 1.7 million below expectations, Tesla's going to tank. Even 1.75 million. Anything in the 1.7 millions is going to likely cause some downside for Tesla. We could see it come down towards, I would say, this demand zone into the 230s is a possibility. This is where we saw a lot of consolidation and a very, very high amount of volume in the past. So we could see this thing break down to 240, if not the 230 area, if we get some bad looking numbers. If Tesla meets expectations, we have this bullish falling wedge, which could lead to a breakout back into the 250s. Could even back to this 260, then just kind of consolidate up here for some time. If we just barely meet expectations, even if we get numbers very close to what Troy is basically predicting, if they just barely meet expectations, we could see a little pop in the share price. But I do have something even better to say. If there's a surprise and Tesla gives us 1.85 million deliveries or even 1.9 million, that is going to be huge. We're going to see a big bullish breakout from this falling wedge. We're going to see Tesla basically squeeze all the way up to at least 270, in my opinion. A big run if we absolutely smash deliveries, get close to like 1.9 million. That is looking less probable looking at what the analysts are expecting and some data from the Chinese registrations and such. But it's still a possibility, so let's just keep this in the back of our minds. So with this falling wedge, the technicals do favor Tesla trying to break out to the upside, but I'm not going to promise it, guys. We just have to wait and see what the data tells us. So we'll be waiting for that very carefully. But the most accurate person, from what I've found historically, is Troy. And Troy is saying that we're likely going to get these numbers right here, 477,000 for Q4 right about here. And then that basically aligns with down here 1.8 million being our target. So meeting expectations are coming very close to them, which could cause some upside. That is very probable for Tesla. I'm not saying they're going to smash expectations, because one issue with Tesla is the fact that Wall Street and these analysts have such high expectations. So that alone might not cause Tesla to squeeze extremely hard. It could just pop a little bit. But we'll just have to wait and see. If the numbers are kind of like low, Tesla could see more downside. If they're as expected, we could see some upside. If they smash expectations, we're going to run very hard. We'll have to wait and see. From a technical standpoint, we look bullish once again with this falling wedge, but just to be safe, we'll have to wait and see what the data looks like. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Let's hope Tesla does well. Numbers come out very, very soon. If you guys want to leave your predictions for what the numbers are going to look like in the comments if you're interested, it's up to you. I would love to see or read your guys' predictions, and have a great New Year's. So thank you for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.